Live yet, but
Okay. This will be
okay,
better.
you're live now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Good to see everyone. Well, you know, those that I can see. It's time for our story slam. And as you know, we are so proud. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this iPad at a level where I can sit back and chill. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I think I did it. Hi, everyone.
Oh, darn. I was enjoying being bounced on your lap.
Oh, I was going to sing a lullaby next. Well, welcome. Here we are. It is August 18th. A lot of people I know had a birthday today. If you're one of them, happy birthday. We are so happy to have this story slam produced by Freetown Village and Storytelling Arts of Indiana. Good to see all of you folks sitting out there in the audience. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Jim Obermaier and Sally Perkins, and Nicholas Noyes Jr. Memorial Foundation. And as always, our media sponsor, WFYI. Now, I know some of you have been having nightmares. I want to talk to all you teachers out there because school started again. I started having nightmares that I had to go to work. And this time I had to drive a bus. Oh, I woke up in a sweat just pouring down my face and realizing, whew, that was just a nightmare. That's one of many nightmares I've had since I retired as a teacher. But right now, I want to listen to your stories about school nightmares. And we're going to start the evening off with Tom. Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Well, hi, everybody.
Are you going to give us a sample?
Yes.
All
I'll
right.
start us off. Very long time ago, when I was in high school, had a buddy that we went to grade school together. And then freshman year, hung out together, challenged each other in schoolwork and that sort of thing. And so we like to challenge each other. And so sophomore year rolled around and the challenge was, he said, Tom, if I join choir, will you join choir? And I had never sung, didn't know anything about, I guess I could read music, but anyway, I said, sure, I'll join choir. And so we did, and did choir sophomore, junior, senior year, and had a blast. We did very well, went to contests, performed solos, did great. So the other part of that was sophomore year. At the beginning of the year, high school, they did a play. They did a fall play, and then they did their big musical in the
Now we're
spring.
playing statues.
What's that? So anyway,
Well, we're going to count to 21. There you go. We heard playing statue. That's the last thing we heard, Tom.
oh,
Okay. You froze.
okay, that's odd. Okay,
Mhm.
so and I'm not sure that that's what I said. So I'm not sure what you guys heard last, really.
Playing statues.
So he and I decided to join choir together, and from choir there was plays. He said, hey, I'll try out for the play if you try out for the play. And so in high school, they did a fall play and they did their big musical in the spring. So this was fall time. So we both went and tried out for the fall play. And I got in and he didn't. And worse yet, my first time doing something like that, I was a contender for the lead role. And so fortunately, I didn't get the lead role. I got the second. And the name of the play was Frankenstein. And it was very well written. It was a lot of fun. And there was a part in this play where a character fainted when she saw Dracula. And I was beside her and would catch her. And the nightmare was, I'm going to drop her and she's going to hurt herself. And this was a senior, a cheerleader. So I'm like, okay, not only would I drop her, but everybody would be talking about this event, football team, cheerleaders, you name it. So it was kind of rough. And I took some ribbing from some of my friends about it too. You're going to drop her. You're going to drop her. So again, the idea was that she would faint. I would just catch her. And so the first time that we did that in rehearsal, her foot got caught on something and she almost hit the floor. It was that close to dropping her. And so we rehearsed that again, and it happened again. And so we went away, okay, let's redo that a little bit, rework the footwork and make it better. The whole time knowing I'm going to drop her. I'm going to drop her. So finally, she and I talked. It's like, hey, it's her costume. It's what's going on stage right there. And we have to be in that spot on stage. We're going to have to do something different or I'm going to drop you. And so finally, what happened was the next time she fainted, I caught her and picked her up. And we decided that was what we needed to do. So as you can imagine, that was seen and everybody was going to say, you're going to drop her, you're going to drop her, you're going to drop her. So yes, I was concerned about that, but long story short, that scene always went well. I never dropped her. And I went on to be another place.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Well, as you see, Tom did all the things correctly. The story has to be told from your point of view, has to be a true story, as close as a storyteller can get it. It should be 5 minutes or less. And you are being judged as well as being timed. If you do go over the 5 minutes, there'll be points deducted from your score. And I'd like to thank our timekeeper and our scorekeepers and our judges, okay? Well, our next person who's going to tell, am I not seeing everybody who's here? Like, is Allison here? No. Okay. I don't see Julie.
Julie's here.
Okay, why don't I just see a few people? Do I have to swipe my screen? Hi, Julie. How you doing?
I'm good, Celestine. How are you?
Okay. Well, listen, you are the next teller up. And our topic is school nightmares.
Thank you. So I had always assumed that I was stupid. I was married to a very rich man who on a daily basis told me that I wasn't really capable of much. And in fact, he never missed the opportunity to let me know just how lucky I was to be with him. Because of my marriage, I was also not allowed to spend time with my friends and family. And I had found out that a bunch of my friends from undergrad were getting ready to take the GMAT, which is the entrance exam for business school, because that's what they were hoping to take their careers to the next level. And so I decided I was going to take the exam with them on the same day because I missed them and I wanted to be able to have an experience with them. My ex-husband thought that this was an absolutely hilarious joke. He thought it was absurd that I would try to take an exam that was so complicated and so difficult. And in fact, it was his suggestion that I transmit my results to as many Ivy League schools as possible, so that they would get a chuckle from the inevitable poor score that I would get. So we all took the GMAT, and my friends went on and got into some great business schools. And I didn't think much of it for myself. I didn't even bother to open the envelope. So we were surprised about 12 weeks later when I got a letter from Harvard saying that they wanted to speak to me about my scores. I assumed it was some kind of error in the computer system, and I ignored it. Fortunately, subsequently, there was a cavalcade of letters from different Ivy League schools who wanted to reach out to me and speak to me about my scores. At that point, I dug out the unopened envelope with my scores, and I realized that I had only missed one question and had actually scored in the top 0.1 percentile of the entire world who had taken the exam for that particular cycle. But more importantly, I recognized that these universities were not calling to make fun of me. They were calling to offer me spots in their elite programs. Again, my husband was completely against it. He said that my place was at home, taking care of him, taking care of his family, and taking care of his house. He also as he put it, rather chivalrously pointed out that once they realized that I had nothing to offer, that I would be humiliated. And so he was actually sparing me the humiliation that would occur if I were to take up this opportunity. So much to my chagrin, I said no to all these fantastic schools, and I continued to say yes to a man who thought I wasn't good for much other than being a human punching bag. But eventually I did divorce him. And when I did, one of the first things I did was I reached out to Harvard and asked to reclaim my spot. I told them that I was devastated financially from the divorce, and so I wasn't in a position to go to school full time. They said they were piloting a new program, and that if I was willing to travel back and forth every 3 weeks, take exams, present papers, I was welcome, basically. So that's what I did. So my first course, my first course was the business of economics, or the economics of business, I can't remember. And I walked in and it was truly a school nightmare because I was the oldest person in the room by a good 10 to 15 years. I was incredibly clumsy and everybody looked like they were together but me. And all I wanted to do was to run out of the room as quickly as possible. But I managed to get myself through that class only because, frankly, I didn't want to embarrass myself by running out. And I finished the semester, and surprisingly, I got an A. So I decided they were going to figure out that I don't belong there. But in the meantime, I was going to learn as much as I could because the learning was making me the happiest I had ever been. So I kept taking courses and I kept collecting really high scores. And I kept wondering when they were going to notice that I'm not supposed to be there. And it was only when I was notified that I was shortlisted to give one of the speeches at Harvard commencement that I recognized for the first time it wasn't a mistake, them reaching out to me, and that I did have something to offer. So I'll be honest with you, I think I have spent most of my life very confused about what the nightmares of life truly are. I thought the nightmare would be getting drummed out of Harvard for not being bright, or getting a divorce and being ostracized from my community. But it turns out, for me at least, the divorce was pretending to be a different person so that I would be good enough to finally love. And if I had two wishes for everybody on this Zoom, the first one would be is that we live the right nightmares. So the nightmares where you challenge yourself and you grow and you develop yourself to be the best version of yourself. And the second wish I would hope for every person on this Zoom is that you take the time to flip every person off who presumes to ever tell you that you're not good enough. Thank you. Oh, Celestine, I don't think we can hear you.
I very rarely mute myself, and I did the right thing. I had muted myself, but that was great. Okay. Okay. So many things to say, but that was wonderful. So did you give a speech?
I fell at the last hurdle. I was down to the last three, and then I lost out to a guy whose dad built a brand new wing at Harvard. But the speech was dedicated to my grandma, so it was still worth it. So.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. Well, another nightmare. It's coming up out of the mouth of Mike Hobbs. Mike, are you ready to regale us with this nightmare?
Well, yes, I am. How are you doing today?
Okay.
Okay. Well, I grew up in a country school in Ohio, and it was always very, very clear who was in charge and who was the top of the social ladder. And in my class, we happened to have the youngest son of the school board president. So guess who is always being elected class president over and over and over again? Well, being a nerd, and let's face it, I filled all the necessary boxes on the checklist to be a nerd. I had the voice like that. I had the glasses. I even had a scoliosis that hadn't been corrected yet.
And so I had all these sinus infections all the time. So you can guess who was the one that was getting attacked all the time.
Who was the bottom of the social ladder, so to speak? Well, the only thing that I really, really excelled in, and I was in choir and all those, and was we had something called the In the Know team, which is our version of the college quiz bowl team. And we had to compete against every other class. So guess who we had to compete against? The high school, our class president, who happened to be the school board president's son, and his team. And we competed and competed and competed and lost and lost and lost and lost. And it just seemed like, for some reason, the clock just never seemed to ring right when we were trying to answer questions. Well, it came time for the state championship. And the captain of 4 of the teams were picked to be our team to go. And so, of course, the school board president's son was our team captain. And then there was, of course, the quarterback of the football team, of all things, and the head cheerleader, and me. Oh, so we're up there and we're competing. And guess what's happening? None of the questions are being answered, because I'm like, I'm not going to answer them. If they don't know, I don't know. And then a question popped up and I'm like, I know that. Bing. Yes, it happens to be George Washington. You're correct. Another question. Bing. Albert Einstein. You are correct. Bing. Salzburg, Austria. How the heck did you know that? And all my teammates just started looking at me. And I'm beating them. Oh my goodness, I am beating them. I'm going to be dead meat. I know I'm going to be dead meat. And then we're within 5 points of the lead. And the team that we're up against is the team that always wins. Upper Arlington High School always wins. And I'm just shaking. I can't be right, because if I'm right, they're going to kill me. But if I don't answer the questions, we're going to lose. And then the question came up. Ultimate dork question. Which famous Star Trek episode featured furry animals in the shape of balls? I looked over at them, and they're like completely blank. And they looked over at me. They're like, you know this, right? You know this, right? You know this, right? I'm like, bing, The Trouble with Troubles by David Gerald. And we won. We won. We won. Ah. And then the announcer announced we'd won. The music stopped, and the other team looked over at me and went, "Where the hell did you come from?" And then the president of our team, the captain of our team, looked at me and he said, "We won. Congratulations. You're dead meat." And I got a $10,000 scholarship out of it. That's my story.
You know, nerds rule, okay?
Wait a minute, you guys see this t-shirt?
I love it. Okay.
It says, "Hi, look, it's R2-D2. I loved him in Star Trek."
All right.
It's actually a Dalek from Doctor Who.
You know, it was so funny because I said, "Oh, I know the answer to that question." You know, he who controls the information, the one's in power. You know, the sooner you learn that, the sooner you can go on with your life. I wish I could talk to every young person in school and let them know it is better to be a leader than to be a follower, so it's okay to go off and do your own thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, that was hilarious. But really, did you suffer repercussions from that win?
Well, really, the only repercussions that they could have were the fact that at the senior prom, my date and I weren't part of the official procession of team captains. That's the only thing. I mean,
Okay.
they really couldn't do anything to me. But
Well,
you always knew walking down the hall that the spitballs were going to come at you and all that. So being the nerd.
All right. Well, congratulations on that scholarship. You
Thank
showed them.
Yep.
Well, we got another school nightmare coming up. And our next teller is Beverly Williams. Hi, Bev, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right.
So a long time ago, I was in high school and my favorite subject was science. And then the next after science was biology. Well, of course, in our science room, we had many reptiles. We had frogs and snakes and things like that. And so the day came and we knew it was coming where in biology, we would have to dissect. We had a strange teacher who taught biology, and he didn't give us the regular, it wasn't dissection of the frog or anything like that. And the regular things that you would dissect. No, he came in with 12 bags of cats. Now, we don't know where he got the cats from. We didn't ask any questions. We just knew we had to dissect these cats. My science teacher, Mrs. Blakely, which is the reason why I am a nurse today, she was also in the room when we were dissecting the cats. We had one person in our class that wanted to save the world. She was a very bright young lady and had her own thing about dissection. She felt it was wrong. You're killing the animals. Well, the animals was already dead. We're dissecting. Come on. So it didn't matter because she was against us doing anything to the animals. We actually had a rabbit and nobody really understood why the unique name of the rabbit, because a male rabbit has a unique name. And so that was the rabbit was Buck, and nobody realized that it was because he was a male rabbit. He was big, he was huge. So she thought that, this is cruelty. So what she did was, unbeknownst to us, we're in the biology lab dissecting our cats. My cat, which I want to be an obstetrician, came out to be the cat that was pregnant with kittens. So we just thought that was amazing. Wow, this cat has kittens. And so our biology teacher, he also worked at the funeral home, so he had formaldehyde. And so I was like, I want my kitten. He said, okay, we're gonna put it in formaldehyde, put it in a jar, and sit it on the dresser. And my mother hated it. But this girl, unbeknownst to us, she had let loose the snakes. The nightmare is that my teacher, Miss Blakely, went to sit down. She just went to sit down. She just thought it was intriguing. We were dissecting these cats. Nobody was scared or anything like that. I never was scared because my mother worked at the funeral home, so I never was scared. I just was fascinated. I am going to take this kitten home in a jar. That was my fascination. And everybody was like, you're creepy. I'm not creepy. I just love science and biology. Well, Mrs. Blakely went to sit down, and what happened? The nightmare. A snake crawled on Mrs. Blakely. She was frozen. She was straight frozen. She wasn't saying anything. And I was like, Miss Blakely, why are you not saying anything? And then I saw the snake. My mother hated snakes, and I was not a fan of the snake either. I said, oh no, it's a snake, it's a snake. So everybody's running. And we had one hero in our class. He went, got the snake, took it off Miss Blakely. Now, Miss Blakely has I think apparently had a heart attack. I'm ready to start the CPR compressions because she's still not moving. She's not moving. She's not talking. But who would? It's a snake on her. So the snake is put back. We knew who did it, the revolutionary one who felt like we were killing all of the dead animals that were already dead. And so we knew who had did it. And so finally, Miss Blakely, she spoke a word and I was like, thank you, because I was about to do CPR on you. And that was the nightmare that we suffered and that I suffered in high school, but more so that Miss Blakely suffered. That's my story.
Or Mrs. Blakely. My mother didn't care for snakes either. Couldn't have them on the television screen, you change the channel. But she would talk about snakes that would be out in the country. And there was one snake, she called it a hoop snake, that would form a hoop with his tail in his mouth and could move faster than you could run. I haven't documented that, but I remember that story. Well, thank you so much. That's hilarious. We've got another nightmare about school, and our next teller is Tommy Norman. Hi, Tommy, how you doing? Turn your mic on.
I'm wonderful, thank you. Stuck in a rut. Have you ever been stuck in a rut? When I was stationed in the United States Army at Fort Hood, Texas in 1984, United States Army Training School, I was stuck in a rut. In a minute, I'll tell you how I got unstuck. But let me talk about a story that happened long, long ago. I was in the United States military training, and we were in the field. And the task was to pass a land navigation test. Well, land navigation is when you take your map and you have a compass. They blindfold you, they put you in a truck. You don't know where you are. You get out of the truck, they give you a map and a compass and tell you to find your way back. Well, long story short, I failed the test. I had never used military maps before. Of course, I was an expert in civilian maps, but not a military map. What was I to do? On my way back, I thought about it as if I fail this test, I will not get promoted. I'm going to get kicked out of the Army. Oh, I was under a lot of stress. So we were supposed to be in bed by 9 p.m. Lights out. Those were the rules. I would sneak out of bed. I would sneak down to the toilet and I would take my materials and I would study and I would study and I would practice and I would study and I would visualize and I would study and I would practice. Lo and behold, come the day of testing. The moment of truth. It's the Super Bowl and you're on the field and you're trying to win. Well, I had to pass this test to win. And, you know, I went to my first point and I wanted to second guess myself. And something, I start talking to myself. No, you got this, Tommy. You got this. You studied, mark your point, move on. I could not let negativity sink in. I could not let negativity sink in. If I did, I would have failed. I went to my next point, and as I said, military maps I was not familiar with, but reading military maps is the same as like flying an airplane. You can't see on the ground. You don't know where you're going. You have to rely on your instruments. Well, land navigation is the same thing. I looked at my military map and it said stream. I looked down and there was no stream. It had dried up. I said, oh my goodness. But something said, you just studied, you done shot your azimuth, mark your point. I marked my point and moved on. I got up finally to the testing area. I gave the tester my exam. He looked at it. My legs almost went out from under me. And he said, pass, pass. I said, yes, yes, yes. You know, oh yes. So how did I get unstuck? You know, my wheels were spinning and my wheels got a grip on self-confidence. Self-confidence. If I had second guessed myself, I would have failed that test. And many times I wanted to. When you're under stress, but that little voice in the back of my head says, mark your point, move on. Now think about what I'm saying. You can't let not one doubt get into you. You can't let not one doubt get into you. And that's how I got my wheels gripped and I got traction and I got unstuck. Remember this, self-confidence. Yes, you got to prepare, you got to focus. I did all that. But mainly don't second guess yourself. Self-confidence and believe in yourself. I got unstuck. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am confident that the next teller will have a good story about school nightmares. And we don't know what kind of school it could be. It could be any kind of school. I'm thinking that I saw Allison pop up. Allison, are you ready to tell now? Or do you want me to wait till the end?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay,
Can you hear me
Allison,
okay?
we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm coming at you from the state fair. I might have overbooked myself. So, you know, adulting is a thing. But I do have a story. Okay, so in elementary school, I grew up in Cleveland and my parents both worked 9 to 5. And so we'd get off at like 3 o'clock. And then from like 3 to 5, we would go down to the basement, which was the cafeteria in our elementary school. And my brother and I would hang out with the other kids that were waiting for their parents to come pick them up. So normally, especially if it was raining, we'd just hang out down there and it would, we'd have a bunch of crafts. I know I did a lot of drawing, but if it wasn't raining, we'd go outside. So we'd walk up the stairs and there was this huge playground. You could play kickball. They had swings, they had monkey bars, anything you'd want. But being the little weirdo that I was, I would hang out with the adults. And that's how I'd spend my time, waiting for my parents to come pick me up. So a lot of other adults would come pick up their kids and they meet with the folks in charge, which is who I would be hanging out with. So a lot of times I would hear like just the banter between the parents and the organizers of after school care. So one day, one of the parents comes up and I recognize her, it's Sarah's mom. And she looks really distressed and she says, I don't know what to do. Sarah's mom died and I don't know what I'm going to tell her. So being like 7, I was like, this sounds intense. I'm going to go play on the playground. But I couldn't get that thought out of my mind. And Sarah was in my grade. And she was a really rambunctious kid and like was always talking, always telling stories, just really excitable. And we would hang out at after school care, but also just like, you know, like you do with kids when you're 7. So I didn't know what to do. And I was like, the adults will figure this out. It'll be fine. And I'm just swinging on the swings. And then Sarah comes over with my other friend, also named Sarah. So they're swinging on the swings with me. And I'm like, wow, this intense thing just happened that I happened to just witness. And, you know, being 7, I was like, hey, Sarah, I'm really sorry. And Sarah being Sarah was like, what are you talking about? Tell me what's going on. What do you mean? And I was like, oh, don't worry. Like your mom will tell you, which, oh, sorry. The mom that came to pick her up is her adoptive mother. And she was saying that her birth mother had passed away. And so I kept holding off and saying like, your mom's going to tell you, it's totally fine. Well, Sarah was really persistent. And so I said, your real mom died. It didn't go over well. She started crying. And I was like, instantly, I've made a terrible mistake. I should not have shared what was not mine to share. And so Sarah's mom comes running over and she goes, what did you do? Why did you tell her? I was like, all fair points. Definitely should not have told her. And Sarah continues to scream, cry, and she's saying, I always wanted to meet my mom. I can't believe I didn't get to meet her. Like, it was just a really bad situation. And it is a nightmare that does come back to me as an adult and being a kid past age 7 of don't share information that's not yours to share. And maybe like be less nosy. So those are my life lessons from age 7, and also my school nightmare.
Ooh, I don't know how we could have prevented that, you know? Whoa. Thanks, Allison. That is a nightmare.
Thank you.
Well, I can't see my whole screen. Is Portia on here? Do you see Portia? Okay.
Portia's
Well,
not here
okay.
and Carol disappeared. She was here, but she's disappeared. So I think Allison was our last teller.
Well, where's Adrian?
Who?
Adrian? I have Adrian
Oh.
on my list.
She didn't make it either.
Oh. Well, let me tell you about a nightmare I heard about recently. If you're in Indiana, you realize that we've had a shortage of not only teachers, but school bus drivers. It's just amazing to me how much people realize that we need every single person in that sequence to make schools run. So in Carmel, our fair city to the north, they have to change their school schedule, make kids within a mile of each school walk to school because they are short 40 to 50 school bus drivers and they need them. Well, a friend of mine told me that at one of the school board meetings, it was proposed that they would use elementary teachers to, they would train them to drive a school bus to go pick up their students and then bring them back to school and take them home. And they wanted to pay them additional $1,000 for this lovely service. And I said, are you kidding? Are you making this up? So I thought that was a nightmare. I don't think it went very far in the discussion, but we all know that was a nightmare. That was a nightmare to me. It was just awful. So as my teachers start the school year, I used to know when my school started, you know, being a retiree. And the first day of school, I was so upset that I was not at school. But as the years progressed, I don't even wake up and know what day the school year starts. And when I read funny little quotes about how teachers want the parents not to buy the Rose Art crayons, but Crayolas because they are the best crayons that are made. Little tips about like don't send pencil sharpeners into school with your kids because all those shavings will end up on the floor. Little gems that everyone talks about that the teachers know. And I thought, I am not living that nightmare this year, but God bless all my friends who are still working. I am so proud of you because somebody's got to do it. Thank you very much. I don't know if we're done with our tally.
Carol just just came in.
Okay, Carol, we've been waiting on you, girl. Are you ready to tell? Carol?
Here she
Carol.
comes.
Hi, are you ready to tell? You're giving me hand signals, but I don't know what that means. Carol, you're up next. I see you're on your iPhone, but we can't hear anything. Are you ready? Everybody turn your head this way. Hi, Carol, are you ready? I don't think she hears me. Carol, can you hear me, Carol? That was a commercial, was it? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Wasn't it? What product was that? Some cell phone company. Verizon, okay. Well, I think we're gonna have to share that for the next visit because we're not hearing her. But let me repeat who our sponsors are again. Carol, can you hear us? Jim Obermaier, Carol Perkins, the Nick Noyes Jr. Foundation, as well as WFYI, and our co-producers are Storytelling Arts of Indiana and Freetown Village. So I'm sort of like chit-chatting and not saying anything much because, oh, a black cat just walked across my path. Let me hold on to my button. I'm sorry. I'm looking for ghost stories to tell. And if you have any suggestions for me, send them my way. But at any rate, I remember telling a story about a boy named Bubba Hicks who died on lunch hour at school. And I haven't told that story in a long, long time, but I'm thinking about resurrecting that, but we'll see. But at any rate, let me tell you who the winners are today. Our third place winner is Michael Hobbs. Congratulations, Michael. Our second place winner is Julie Lawani. Did I pronounce her name right, Julie? And our first place, these are all ties for first place. Beverly Williams. Ellen, do you hear me? Are these all ties? Did she leave the room? I have Beverly Williams, Tommy Norman.
Yes, they're all tied.
Okay. Beverly Williams, Tommy Norman, and Allison Pottinger. Is that your last name?
Yes.
All right. This is a first. Woo! And I'd like to thank our judges and our timekeeper. In case you don't know, have we changed? Do you make the first place winners divide the $50 each between them? I'm just kidding. I knew that. But you need to know that this is the first time that has ever happened. So congratulations on being good tellers. Now I want you to know that when's our next session, Ellen?
It's September 15th.
And what's the topic?
Heroes of our lives.
Heroes of our lives. I want to say heroes and heroines of our lives, okay?
Celestine?
Yes.
I texted Carol. She said, sorry, no audio. She's out in Mennonite country. So she'll join us next time, hopefully.
And what country is she in?
Mennonite.
Oh, she can forget it. Okay. Well, listen, I've enjoyed y'all. I haven't had any wine yet, but I am going to go put my salmon in the refrigerator, and I'm going to pour a glass of red wine, put my broccoli away because, I had all these tests run last week, and it's not good when you see your test results, and next to your test results, you have this little red exclamation point. So I got to go on Monday for my doctor to tell me whatever she wants me to do. But I'm going to try to behave, but not before I drink this last glass of wine. But you were wonderful. I had a great time. The stories were hilarious. And I look forward to seeing you, if not next month, before then. Okay? Take care. Hasta la vista, babies.